Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to this video that I'm taping on a Monday morning of getting ready to head to Indianapolis for the NFL Scouting Combine. So I'll be there. My colleague Jennifer Lee Chan at NBC Sports Bay Area will be there. We'll be providing content, both written and podcasts and interviews from the Combine. So for me, the Combine is very important because I get to reconnect with so many people I know around the NFL, both media members, people with other teams, and also an opportunity to meet and talk to some of the participants, some of the draft prospects, and work on stories that lead up toward the draft. Now, I'll be there. Jennifer will be there. Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers coaching staff will not be there. And the reason, as I talked about on the last video, is because basically Kyle Shanahan believes that more work can be accomplished as far as draft prep, watching film, as well as free agent prep. Free agency starts with the open negotiating period on March 10th. So he believes that a lot more work can be accomplished remaining back in Santa Clara. And it's kind of a matter of perspective. I think a lot of coaches like to be there. They like to be seen. They like to be able to hang out with other people around the NFL. And then the usefulness of it, I think mostly from a coaching standpoint, would be I guess the opportunity to meet face to face with 60, potentially 60 participants in the combine. The on-field workouts, I don't think are important. At least, you always hear, in the past, this team placed too much emphasis on someone's 40 time or how he measured or whatever the case may be, and they didn't spend enough time looking at film. Well, uh, whatever. Obviously, I think most coaches go to the NFL scouting combine. It's been trending more where coaches are staying home more than they had in the past. So whatever. It's a matter of personal preference. And the 49ers' personal preference, as John Lynch runs the draft, he's the general manager. Their personal preference is for the coaches to stay home and get to know the prospects through watching film. And then, of course, they can meet up with them later. Um, Probably the more interesting things, and a lot of the stuff we won't know about, but probably the biggest thing that'll be happening at the combine this week will be what's happening with front office members and agents. Obviously, agents will be there representing their clients, the draft prospects. And I talked a little bit about the Rams on the last video that I did because the Rams don't send their general manager, Les Snead, or their head coach, Sean McVay, to the combine, which is unique because usually general managers are there. And so I guess this probably isn't applicable because what I was going to talk about was, John Lynch being able to meet with the agent of Brock Purdy and trying to get on the same page and kind of figure out where to proceed from here as far as his contract. Brock Purdy has played 3 years in the NFL, obviously the last overall pick of the 2022 draft, been making the very minimum on that first contract. And now this is the first opportunity where they can tear up that initial contract and sign him to a long-term extension. That's something that both sides will be striving toward. And I would imagine that this week in Indianapolis, that ball will really start to roll as far as trying to figure out where both sides stand. Now, the reason I brought up the Rams is because they have a quarterback issue. And it's really interesting because, the Rams won the NFC West last season with a 10-7 record, which, isn't spectacular. They won the tiebreaker over the Seattle Seahawks, who also finished at 10-7. But the Rams were playing really good football at the end of the season, and they won that first round playoff game against the Vikings. They gave the Philadelphia Eagles their best match in the entire postseason. So the Rams certainly were trending in a very positive direction for them at the end of the season. But now their quarterback situation is very much up in the air. Matthew Stafford had his contract reworked last summer, right before the start of training camp, and they basically pushed his future money into guarantees for the 2024 season, which left basically they front loaded that thing, and now they're going to have to redo something with that contract. They're going to have to give him a contract that pays him on par with some of the top quarterbacks in the league, I would think. Now he's 37 years old. And what, according to Tom Pelissero from the NFL Network, the Rams have given permission to Matthew Stafford's agent to go out and talk to other teams. In other words, facilitate a trade or see what his value is on the open market. And so, will Matthew Stafford be back with the Rams next season? That certainly remains to be seen. So, when you look at the NFC West, Stafford and his situation, very much up in the air. Brock Purdy, 49ers working toward a long-term contract with him. Geno Smith is signed only through this upcoming season, the Seattle Seahawks, and then Arizona's Kyler Murray is signed through 2028. But the Matthew Stafford situation could potentially lead to some high-profile veteran successful quarterbacks switching teams. So you have Stafford, obviously Aaron Rodgers, if he decides he wants to continue to play, he will be a starter somewhere. Could it be with the Rams? Could it be with the Las Vegas Raiders? Those are possibilities, as the Jets have already told him you don't have a place on the team for next season. Also, there's Russell Wilson, who was a starter last year for the Steelers. He's an unrestricted free agent. Sam Darnold, he's an unrestricted free agent. He figures to leave and get a 1-year deal or 2-year deal with a team and probably be in a similar situation as he was last year, or at least he could be in a similar situation where he goes to a team on a contract and then that team drafts a quarterback as well. And so the Vikings more than likely, I think, would be moving on and trying to give JJ McCarthy a shot. Now, the 49ers have their own quarterback situation, not just Brock Purdy and his deal, but the backup quarterback situation. What's really interesting is that when you look at the 2021 draft, and it was Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and Trey Lance, and then later Justin Fields and Mac Jones. And the only quarterback of that group who remains with his original team, Trevor Lawrence, the number one overall pick of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Everybody else on second teams and not given the fifth year option not picked up for Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones. So all of those guys and Zach Wilson. So all of those guys are free agents. And, I look at it, what are the 49ers going to do with their backup quarterback situation? Um, you know, Mac Jones is interesting because I mean, we know that Kyle Shanahan liked him in the draft process. He just thought that Trey Lance was going to be a better player and had more upside, more physical ability, more running ability, so on and so forth. But as the 49ers look for a backup quarterback, would they tap into that 2021 draft class um, for a Wilson, for Mac Jones? And then you have this group of quarterbacks who are unrestricted free agents who have ties with the 49ers, who have been with the 49ers. And we'll just lead off with Joshua Dobbs. Dobbs was with the team last year, opened the season as the number 3 quarterback. He wasn't happy about that. Eventually, he worked his way into the number 2 for selected games. And then late in the season, Brandon Allen got 1 start in Green Bay for the 49ers. That didn't go so well. And then Joshua Dobbs started the Week 18 game against the Cardinals, threw for a lot of yards. I don't know that he's coming back. I don't know that that's something that necessarily he wants to do, come back to the 49ers, but he would be in the mix as well as Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen has been with the team the 2 previous seasons. First year as a third behind Sam Darnold as the number 2. And then last year, he was the number 2 for most of the season before kind of dropping down the depth chart 1 spot. The other guys with 49er ties who are on the open market, Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard. So would the 49ers entertain bringing back one of those guys or going with a Zach Wilson? Mac Jones, anyone like that. So that certainly remains to be seen as far as what they do at number two. Um, 2 years ago, they had Sam Darnold as their backup. They were able to pay him a little bit more money to be the backup. And he was in a spot where he was just kind of looking for a fresh start and be coached at a place that has a reputation for coaching up quarterbacks. And so Sam Darnold was part of the reason why 49ers felt good about paying him a little bit more than they would probably a typical backup or what they would want from the backup quarterback position was that they're paying their starting quarterback so little money. Also, Brock Purdy was coming off that elbow injury, and there wasn't a whole lot of certainty as far as would he be ready to go for the start of the regular season. So I don't know that the 49ers are going to throw much money at all at their backup quarterback when you consider that they're going to be paying Brock Purdy a much, much, much larger contract than what he had his first 3 seasons in the league. So, all right, that's kind of the rundown. I'll also share this with you. I go to the scouting combine. The last several years, I've kind of managed or yeah, I've done this thing where my daughter, uh, she goes to school on the East Coast. And so it's been kind of a fun thing for me is I'll go out a few days early, fly to Boston, go up to New Hampshire, see my kid for several days, hang out, meet her friends. And then from Boston, I go to Indianapolis and I'll be at Indianapolis through Wednesday, no, through Thursday, basically, and coming home. So John Lynch will speak to the media on Wednesday evening. He's part of the NFL competition committee for the first time. So he has responsibilities as far as that. A lot of the coaches and general managers meet with the media or are available for the media on Tuesday. Like I said, John Lynch on Wednesday. And also, that's when the defensive linemen start rolling through as far as their media responsibilities. And so I think the 49ers should be very active when it comes to defensive linemen. So I'll be able to see some of those defensive linemen and ask some questions in the comments section. If there's a particular defensive lineman or defensive back that you're interested in, drop it in the comments and maybe I'll do a story on people, the players, the draft prospects that are recommended. So I'll be leaving Indianapolis on Thursday, go home, and then probably be watching some of the workouts and the draft buzz from afar when I return home. So anyway, that's the big, I guess, pre-scouting combine primer. Thanks again so much for watching this video, and that is it for now.